Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos, with your hosts, John Favney and Aaron Peter.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. We are a show about weirdos. I am joined by the cutest boy under the sun, my co-host, Mr.
Aaron Peter. That's me.
Hi there, Aaron.
Oh, hi.
Equally handsome, unbelievably gorgeous, Mr.
Matt Brousseau.
How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great, John. Thanks.
This is now our 16th episode?
That's insane.
That's fucking crazy.
Wow.
We've been talking about a lot of fucking weirdos and
Dude,
shit.
a lot.
It's been wild.
John, how are you?
I'm great. My buddy Nevin called me today, and he fucking lit me up with this shit. He was like, oh yeah, did I tell you about this? And I was like, no, I gotta find out about that. Can you hit it?
Here we go. This is new to me. I don't know what this shit is.
Yep.
Neither does Matt. Ready?
Yep.
Go on a journey, the audience, with me.
You better tell me whose stick is this. I wanna know whose stick is this. You better tell me whose stick is this. I wanna know whose stick is this. You better tell me whose stick is this. I wanna know whose stick is this. You better tell me whose stick is this. I wanna know
Whose
whose
is
stick
it?
is this. You better tell me whose stick
Ooh.
is this.
Yeah.
I wanna know whose stick is this.
Hell yeah.
No, I really
So they got like the classic girl that sings the hook that's nothing dirty, but this girl that raps that does all the technotronic type shit.
Yeah.
All she's talking about is cock and fucking and
Whose
shit.
dick is it?
Yeah, Nevin tells me, he's like, look up, dude. He's like, how do you not? The only way you could not know is if it's like Jenny J in the glory hole being like,
Yeah.
I know this dick.
Turn around.
Whose dick is this? Can you play the second one for me?
Sure.
This is Princess Di. She named herself Princess Di in '94. Princess Di is alive as
Still
well.
alive, yeah.
She calls herself Princess Di.
This is the next one.
Right.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta hold on. You gotta wait to get to the
Yeah.
2 mark for me. People break dancing their balls off to this.
Dripping their balls off in like the New York club scene.
Yeah,
On that real-
1994, dude.
That real ecstasy shit.
Is that the Mario coin noise?
Yeah, yeah. They're grabbing them points, dude.
Ooh.
There she is. They only have 5 songs. Two of them are clean.
Let's see if I can do a mashup here. Ready?
Hold on.
Oh, there's more.
No. You gotta wait.
To 2 minutes.
To 2.
Cool. It's infectious.
It's.
Oh my god.
I just want you to get to that guy. Everybody, fuck somebody. Like, fucking sheer hysteria. Yeah, dude. They all go together. All right, play the last one.
All right. You ready?
Woo! Five songs total, bro.
These are the 3 unclean ones.
Oh yeah.
This is that's on their discography.
Well, the A side of whose dick is this is what's my name. So it's like, do you have any idea what's going on?
They're not all just
Raise your leg up.
turn around.
Raise your leg up, big dick motherfuckers.
And one of the clean ones is a cover.
So I just wanted to share. I wanted to share Princess Di with you guys.
One of the clean ones is a cover of Sunshine Lollipops. Right?
like, what the fuck is going on?
Did they ever find out whose dick that was?
I don't know. I can't.
Some big dick motherfucker.
Yeah,
apparently.
I really couldn't find out much more about Princess Di, but on Discogs, it was seriously like disappearance, 5 songs total, 2 of them about dicks and fucking.
Brilliant.
Or 3.
Yeah.
About the fucking.
Very,
but
very funny.
very stupid.
Very
but
dumb.
Whose dick is this?
I will now have these songs.
It's so great.
It is great.
God, it's good stuff.
I'm playing that at the next party.
Aaron, you are launching your second profile ever, which ties into your previous episode, the very, very well-received Jack Parsons episode.
Yes, that is correct. If you remember, my last profile was of the mystic rocket scientist sex magician from Pasadena who had a cameo-laden life. Characters like your Ray Bradbury, your L. Ron Hubbards, your Werner von Braun's, right? And today's profile, Aleister Crowley. There's some debate as to whether it's Aleister Crowley or Crowley, but apparently it's Crowley as an unholy Aleister Crowley.
Wow.
Right, and
just to preface again, I said this during the Parsons episode, but this is a character that I haven't ever delved into further. And I have a pretty, high appetite for the scummy, weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I like weird shit. But this is a guy that really freaked me out.
Same here. Yeah, he's always had this kind of weird shadow that he casts.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, you don't want to look too deep into it because it is just so nefarious. I mean, the guy called himself the Beast 666.
With a guy like LaVey.
Yeah.
Anton LaVey?
Yeah, I used to get them mixed up as a kid.
Yes.
LaVey was way more, looked way more the part. He looked satanic.
He did. Well, he played Satan in Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
And he...
Anton LaVey is the founder of the modern-day Church of Satan.
But the Church of Satan is really basically just parodying Christianity, and it's saying, like, it's like, let's be more real about this. Like, if somebody fucks you over, try to fuck them over back, and, like, it's, like, more humanist kind of thing. But it's basically just a parody of religion, whereas Crowley was like, oh, no, I'm actually really into getting kind of sort of demonic, it seemed like to me. As far as I have such a periphery knowledge of this, so I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, so after looking into it, he's no longer like the scary figure.
Really?
To me, anytime you illuminate something and it's no longer as creepy as it is in your head, right?
Right.
The scariest parts of Jaws are when they don't show the shark, and then they show the shark, and you're like, oh, looks fake.
Yeah.
Right, and so I would say Crowley is very shark and Jaws-like, but still fucking weird, dude.
Yeah.
So a quick little disclaimer on this. This is another nasty fucking episode. It's heavy. There's a lot of shit. And
there's no animal stuff.
No animal stuff. No kid stuff.
Right.
Just all sorts of nasty shit.
And
piss. I mean, the best way that I can give you an idea of what's to come is from a show called Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Massive fan.
Oh, God, thank you for introducing me to it. And the beginning of every one of these episodes, the character Garth Marenghi would read an excerpt from one of his fake shitty novels. And after doing my research into Aleister Crowley, this is all I could think of. And maybe this will give you an idea of what's to come.
Nina's eyes popped out of what was left of her back. Why, oh why, had she opened that tomb? The sand turned red. This was because she was bleeding on it. Blood. Ruby red blood. Her blood. Blood. And piss and shit. This was the worst day of her life.
It's so stupid and...
It's so great.
But I love it. All right, so let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go.
Edward Alexander Crowley was born in 1875 in England to a wealthy Plymouth Brethren family. So they were this like fundamentalist evangelical Christian family in Warwickshire, England. And his father was basically retired because he owned a lucrative brewing business, some high gravity lager type of stuff.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, the steel reserve of the time. And he had a weird relationship with his mother, as a lot of these fucking weirdos do.
Yeah.
His mom was like really strict and kind of like just was mean to him. She actually was the first person to give him the nickname The Beast.
Really?
As in the Beast of Revelations, and he loved it. He was all about it. He was a little cunt ever since he was a kid. So they were fundamentalist evangelicals, and his father, now that he retired from this lucrative business, was basically a preacher. And he would read the family a chapter of the Bible every morning.
Oh, that'll fuck you up.
Yeah, you're reading that weird, dark stuff. And so he was a little bit of a shit and was sent off to boarding school when he was 5. And he was a sickly little kid. He got like asthma and all this type of shit. A lot of these characters are kind of sickly kids too. Anyway, so he's sent to boarding school, and then when he's 11, his father dies of tongue cancer. I guess the word of God is a known carcinogen.
Right.
But he really loved his father. He really admired his father. And he was he called him like his best friend and hero. Mm-hmm. And his father's death was like a turning point in his life for a number of reasons. One of them being he inherited a third of his wealth. Oof. But he didn't get that until a little bit later, but it did fuck with him. So he got a third of his father's wealth, and he started acting out and being a real fucker. When he was 14, he lost his virginity to the maid on his mother's bed.
Wow.
Upon finding, I think he probably did it to spite his mom. It seems like
sure.
It. Yeah. Hey, mama, fucked the maid right on your bed.
Didn't I?
You little beast. Yeah, you know me.
Come here, Gretchen. You know what's good for you.
Now get on mom's bed. Make it. She was fired.
Of course.
Became homeless, alcoholic, prostitute.
The maid?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Later, theorized to be one of Jack the Ripper's victims.
No! Oh, God.
So he continues his acting out in school, like misbehaving, pointing out inconsistencies in the Bible because he
knows it back and forth.
Exactly. Smoking, drinking, jerking off, and catching gonorrhea from prostitutes. Young man. So he's sent away to various boarding schools that he hated with like some kind of disciplinarian deans and stuff that maybe he experienced some various forms of abuse in, most likely. Then he ended up at Eastbourne College where he took chemistry classes and got into chess, actually became really good at chess, poetry, and mountain climbing. And this is something you see later in life. He's actually an accomplished mountain climber. He climbed a bunch of mountains in the Alps, and then he changed his name to Aleister. I think he had something that he didn't feel like he was worthy of his father's name, which is another thing with Parsons. His mom changed his name from John to Jack. They called him Jack. Yeah. Well, his name was Marvel, like his father.
Yes.
But his mother started calling him Jack.
Interesting.
So Aleister enrolls in Trinity College at Cambridge, very prestigious school, studied philosophy, became president of the chess club, and continued his mountaineering, and eventually he made the first ascent of the Monk without a guide, which is some mountain in the Alps, and he was the first person to do it without a guide.
Wow.
And he's in his 20s at this point.
Was there any significance to Aleister?
Not that I could find. It's weird. It's a very British name.
And I'm sorry to dial back again, but was he ever remotely a suspect as the Jack the Ripper thing?
I was thinking about it, but he was too young at that point, I think.
Right. I mean, he's going to prostitutes.
Yeah. And he knows
one.
And he's a fucker.
And he's a fucker.
But he didn't I think he didn't get into his more sadist tendencies until later in life.
Right.
But I don't know when she was murdered either. So
sure.
It'd be...
Right, maybe there's some overlap there. I think otherwise people would have glommed onto it and been like...
Yeah, and he also was a traveler. So like he really was, around the world during a lot of the time. In addition to the mountain climbing, was a lot of the whoring around. He got syphilis and stuff like that. So he's already got gonorrhea and syphilis. And this is before antibiotics, guys.
Right. He had to tough it out.
Yeah, you got to tough it out. So you can get through gonorrhea, but you do get damage, but your body does get rid of it.
You get that Rice Krispie dick.
Snap, crackle, pop, baby.
That's what they say. I mean, not that they say. It looks like you have Rice Krispies all over your dick.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm not a cereal guy. And then he got syphilis, and that can also, you can go mad from that stuff.
Right.
So in 1896, he fucks a dude for the first time.
Huh.
Yeah. And this also coincided with his first mystical experience. And so I think those two were kind of hand in hand or whatever.
Some joke you didn't have time to come up with.
Yeah. In 1897, he enters a relationship with Herbert Charles Pollitt. Guess where they met? Drama club.
Oh.
And then But they were like really tight, and they had like, it was a real relationship and all that, right? And so he started embracing his bisexuality. Then they broke up because of Crowley's interest in Western era esotericism. So his weird, creepy occult proclivities were kind of what split them two up. Then he gets sick and depressed after this and really dives deep into the occult. Another thing that he had in common with Parsons is that Parsons, anytime he would break up or have these relationship issues, he'd get depressed, get into drugs, and go deeper into the magic stuff.
Right.
That's what Aleister did here. He got more into the occult stuff and his poetry. He publishes a collection of his erotic poetry called White Stains.
Jesus.
Yeah, maybe I'll read some of those later, but...
This is from my collection, White Stain.
Yes, and I think it was 15 at the time.
I'm talking about Nut, of course.
He was
I was trying to be coy by saying White Stains, but I'm talking about Nut.
Do you see the reference?
Do you understand?
You can't really print a lot of books with just cum stains on the title.
Yeah.
No, there was no title on the book. It was just the stains.
Oh, it was like the White Album.
Yeah. every printing is different.
You get it.
Signed by the author.
Yeah. Special edition. Ooh. So he drops out of Cambridge, and then he goes to Switzerland. He meets a chemist, and they bond over their interest in alchemy. And through this guy's brother, he is introduced to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which is this old school Western esoteric order. It's a secret. It's like Freemasonry, but just a little more woo-woo, right?
But it's very into that like alchemy kind of magic shit.
Yeah. So this is where he gets introduced to like ritual magic and the occult, right? And so this is where there's an author, I think his name is Spence, who's a biographer of Crowley, who theorized and has some really good evidence to back this up, is that this may be when he started to be an agent for British intelligence. He may have been a spy. So they think that his dropping out of Cambridge and getting into the Order of the Golden Dawn was an operation to spy on them. So he's initiated into the order, and he moves into his own luxury apartment.
Spy on them for who again?
MI6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
British intelligence.
Yeah.
MI5 or MI6.
Right.
And what was the ritual like? Is there any...
They do a lot of chanting and robes and shit like that.
Hell yeah.
And I think there's also where he gets introduced to some of the sex magic stuff, but that's not until later that he gets really, really into it. So he's initiated into this order, and mind you, he's rich now, like really rich. He's like the ultimate trust fund kid,
right.
but with all these weird interests. So he's not satisfied with how fast he's progressing, so he bypasses the rules of the order by inviting one of the senior members to live with him in his dope-ass place. Like, hey man, I got this place all by myself. Maybe if you want to live here, you can teach me some of the ways. And so this guy is his personal magic tutor, and the guy is Bennett. And Bennett taught him more about ceremonial magic and using drugs. And so this is where he gets into using drugs like heavy, which will be a constant in the rest of his life.
What kind of drugs are we talking here?
Cocaine.
Chopping it up.
That's some of the beginnings of that. I'm pretty sure he dabbled some opium and stuff like that
right.
here.
Some methies.
Yeah. Bennies, zippy uppers, down, sideways, all that shit.
Quaaludes.
Some fucking loads. So then he buys this property up by Loch Ness.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, called the Boleskine House, which later gets bought way down the road by Jimmy Page. Led Zeppelin.
No shit.
For that reason.
Really?
Because Crowley owned it.
Interesting.
Yeah, Crowley was also on the cover of the fucking Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album. He's one of the faces in it.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
So this house is pretty crazy too, because later on, it's like the Overlook Hotel. Housekeeper's kids died. A drunken employee who hadn't drinking in 20 years got drunk and tried to kill his family. An army major who lived there did kill himself. So there's some like crazy happenings. And then there's more later on, which we'll talk about. So anyways, it's on the shores of Loch Ness, and he wanted to like do this intense 6-month ritual to summon the 12 kings of hell. And it was just like really, really intense. Like eating only bread and drinking only water for 6 months, waking up at 3 a.m. to do incantations, and
Jesus
then
Christ.
just like really heavy duty shit. And then 5 months in, he finds out that it was mistranslated and it's an 18-month ritual, and he's like, oh dude, fuck this.
That. Yeah. 12 Kings of Hell, huh?
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Dude, neither did I.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's all sorts
These
of...
guys, they want to get involved with hell so bad. Him and Parsons and all that stuff. And I always wonder, like, what?
Yeah, like
what do you think is coming of that?
Yeah, I don't know. But a lot of it comes from, like, some more Eastern stuff. So it's not like the Christian hell. And it's not necessarily Satan as it is so much like entities or... ideas, like manifested into like form.
Right.
So
they're also rich kids.
Yeah.
So hell is just like, it's not hell.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a hip thing to get into, it seems like.
Right.
Hail Satan.
Yeah.
Like quotes around it. So he advances through the ranks, but he causes tension on account of all of his drug use and bisexuality. Doesn't fly over very well with some of the more prim and proper. Even in these esoteric orders,
sure,
they're still, of their time.
Yeah, I'm a Satanist. I'm not a homosexual.
Nothing all fucked up like that. You'll go to hell. So it causes tension, including with famed poet W.B. Yeats.
No shit.
Who is a member of the Hermetic Order of the
No shit.
Yep.
Wow. What a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, well, a lot of these dudes were in that stuff, just like Freemasonry, right?
Yeah,
like a lot of who's who type of stuff are in these.
Well, there's no internet or nothing. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Join the Hermetic Order.
Yeah.
I guess that is the internet of the day.
Yeah, you're like, well,
you go down into the basement and see some BME Pain Olympics
well,
shit.
I mean, but honestly, if you read all the fucking books too, you're like, what else you got? Give me something new.
Oh, he's nutty? That type of stuff.
I go to there's homosexuals and all types of shit.
You wouldn't believe it. So they wouldn't initiate him to the next level. So he goes to Paris, and he has the chapter's leader personally initiate him. This guy, Mathers, right? And so, like, because they had this thing, I don't know what it was, but they had, like, a connection. And so he goes to Paris, and Mathers is like, fuck that. I don't care what, I'll initiate you. I'll move you up to the next level. And this creates a schism between the members and Mathers, too. In fact, Mathers then orders Crowley to basically stage a takeover of a place called the Vault of the Adepts, which was one of the temples in London for the order.
Yeah.
And it's unsuccessful, and they sue him, and the court rules in the lodge members' favor because their name's basically on the lease. And that leaves Crowley and Mathers isolated. And this also gives further credence to the idea that this was a black op to undermine the power of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Huh.
Because he gets in there and he basically chops the beast's head off.
Right.
And they're left leaderless with just, the building.
Right.
It's weird. So this is why they think that he was in there to sow the seeds of dissent.
Yeah.
And they never really fully recovered after that.
Interesting.
Because Mathers was a Carlist. During this time in Spain, there were different factions with the monarchy and gosh, I forget the name of the family, but they wanted to include another lineage into the royal family in Spain at this point.
Yeah.
And Charles was, when they say Carlist, it's Carlos. Mm-hmm. And so he was a Carlist, and I think the British monarchy didn't want that lineage to get in there, and that's why they wanted to subvert Mathers.
Okay.
Okay, so in 1900, he moves to Mexico. So at this point, he's only 25.
Okay.
Moves to Mexico, goes to Mexico City and takes a local woman as a mistress, as you do.
Sure.
And try it out. Starts practicing John Dee's Enochian magic. So John Dee is another guy who's worthy of a profile. He's proto these guys back almost Renaissance times, almost like a Rasputin type of figure. Mathematician, conjurer, astrologer to the royalty, alchemist, pervert, etc.
Right.
And he had this whole series of rituals called Enochian magic, where he had its own language for Enoch from the Bible and angels and all this shit, right?
Yeah.
So he starts doing these rituals, and then he gets initiated into Freemasonry in Mexico. And then he also wrote a few plays.
Yeah.
And published more fucking poems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the names of the ones he published in 1900, but they were not as catchy as White Stains.
Right, yeah.
In Mexico, he climbed 3 of the biggest mountains there and had to abandon one because it was actually a volcano and started erupting while he was on it. And the theory is that he was down there looking for oil prospects for MI6. Surveying oil territory in Mexico for the British Empire.
Yeah, Mexico seems like an interesting place just to go immediately from England. There.
Exactly. It's not your first go about? I mean, he went to the Swiss Alps, but then to Mexico of all places. It's very interesting, and there's a lot of oil there.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
See, he left Mexico and he goes to San Francisco, and then from San Francisco he takes a ship to Hawaii, where he had an affair with a married woman and wrote poems for her, and published in a collection called Alice, an Adultery.
Wow.
He loves the fucking poetry shit.
Yeah.
After a few stops in Japan and Hong Kong, Crowley goes to Ceylon, which is now Sri Lanka, and he met with Alan Bennett. Alan, who was the second Westerner to become a Buddhist monk. So this guy's like a really famous white dude who is a straight-up Buddhist monk in this time in the 1900s. Mm-hmm. From there, he toured India and dove into Raja Yoga, so he becomes a yogi, more trust fund shit. And then he claims to have reached various stages of like samadhi and enlightenment stuff through the yoga. Guess what else he did? Wrote some more fucking poems.
Okay, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, The Sword of Song.
Mm-hmm. That actually sounds familiar.
Song of Swords is a Game of Thrones novel.
Oh, really?
A Song of Swords, but his book of stupid poems is called The Sword of Song.
It's a Storm of Swords is the Game of Thrones one.
Right.
But the Sword of Song, it sounds familiar.
Honestly, it was probably an allusion to his dick.
Right.
White stains, Sword of Song.
Yeah. This is all about my hog.
Yeah, listen to it sing. And for writing these stupid poems, the universe punished him by giving him malaria. And he moved to Calcutta and Rangoon to recuperate, the air or whatever.
Did he believe that?
No, I just added that.
Okay.
Calcutta?
Yeah. Well, India is part of the British Empire at this point.
Huh.
All right, so it goes to Calcutta. And in 1902, some of his mountaineering pals join him. This guy called Guillermond and Eckstein. And then Crowley, they attempt to summit K2.
Fuck.
Which is fucking the second highest mountain in the world. Right?
Yeah.
Which had never been climbed, period, at that point.
Right.
So they get pretty far up. Crowley gets the flu, malaria, and snow blindness on the way up.
Jesus Christ in heaven.
They got to 20,000 feet before turning back, which was still pretty fucking impressive.
And whenever he got these things, did he ever think there was a higher power doing it? Or
I don't know,
I think also being a sickly kid though, you're like, well, what else is new?
Exactly. Yeah.
When you look at pictures of him, like I'll put up some pictures of him from his K2 expedition. He looks like shit.
I think about that a lot, though.
I can't believe he made it 20,000 feet. He looks like a waif.
But you know what I mean? Like, people that are sick a lot as kids, I always think about that. I wonder, that perspective thing of, like, do you just have a higher threshold for pain? If you grow up with it,
yeah, maybe.
Are you really just kind of like, yeah, I know.
I get sick.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Duh, I'm sick.
He's sick.
Fucking sick. Yeah, you're into Satan, huh?
I'm sick and sick, dude. I'm incest. So then he moves to Paris, starts hanging out with painter Gerald Kelly, who would later become his brother-in-law. This guy's a famous painter. Through him, he becomes a fixture in the Parisian art scene, which is really big at this point in the early 1900s.
Yeah, he's fucking moving and shaking, huh?
Yeah, dude.
All over the place.
He's with the who's who of bohemian artistry.
Yeah.
He becomes friends with the father of modern sculpture, Auguste Rodin. Mm-hmm. Loved his work so much that guess what he did for him? Wrote poetry. Mm-hmm. Rodin in Rhyme. It was the name of those poems.
Oh, boy.
I mean, this is, honestly, it's the wickedest. He was known as the wickedest man in the world, and it's probably because of his stupid fucking poetry. Still in Paris, he meets author W. Somerset Maugham. Met him and used him as the model for the character in his novel The Magician. So this author writes this novel. The Magician used Crowley as kind of like the inspiration behind it. 1903, he moves back to the Boleskine house on the shores of Loch Ness. He marries Gerald Kelly's sister, Edith, to save her from an arranged marriage. So he's not like a total monster.
Right.
Like, there was this whole thing that was set up, and it seemed to be a bad deal, and he really didn't like her.
But he was helping her out.
Yeah.
Trying it out.
Exactly. This did not make her family happy, though. And it did create a little bit of a rift between him and Gerald, even though it was done out of good faith. But now,
all this while, this whole travel time, Mexico, Calcutta, Paris, etc., he's still fucking around with magic a lot?
Yes, I imagine so. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think he ever stopped doing that.
Right.
But I just kind of have like the big ceremonies and stuff.
Sure.
But he is always, when you got the bug, you got it.
Yeah.
On their honeymoon trip to Paris, through Cairo, and back to Sri Lanka, Crowley falls in love with Edith.
Wow.
against all odds and wants to demonstrate his love for her. Guess how?
Oof. Let me see.
Poetry.
Yeah, I'm writing some more fucking poems.
Yeah.
Rosamundi and other love songs. Ugh. It's disgusting.
That's the newest Vampire Weekend album, isn't
It's
it?
disgusting.
Yeah.
1904, he arrives in Cairo with Edith, and they claim to be a prince and princess.
Of course.
So they rent an apartment, and they set up a temple room. Duh.
Yeah. I mean, probably they might as well be. He's got a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to fake that kind of stuff, and there's no internet.
Yeah.
You're the princess of what? Oh, I'm sure it exists somewhere.
Sure.
And so they set up a temple room in the apartment, and they try to contact ancient Egyptian deities. He studies Arabic, learns Arabic, and studies Islamic mysticism, Sufism. So then they start like getting into it, right? They're trying to summon these Egyptian deities. Rose would routinely become delirious and started saying, "They are waiting for you." He starts going heavy into the hashish, hardcore.
Hell yeah.
She's having
Chiefing it to the dome.
Oh, dude, straight to the dome, eating it, chiefing it, doing what else? I don't know.
Who knows? Trying
it out. Definitely trying it out.
Yeah.
So she starts professing all this stuff, and he's like, all right, I'll write it down. In March,
He's like, what? I'll write it down.
yeah.
Oh, I'll write it down. That's what I do.
So they are waiting for you. He's like, who's they? She says they is the Egyptian god Horus.
Tell me to spell it. Spell the fucking thing.
I can't. It's a hieroglyph. It looks like a hawk.
You motherfucker.
They is the Egyptian god Horus, and then on the 20th of March, quote, the equinox of gods have come.
Wow.
She takes him, she's in this trance, she takes him to a local museum and leads him to a stele, which is like a cartouche, like this, a poster, basically, an ancient Egyptian stele from the 7th century BC, exhibit number 666. And then there's not much, I guess he like looks at it and trips out, but takes it as a good sign that they're doing the right thing. Over the next few weeks, copious amounts of hash, bro. So much fucking hash.
Chiefing it.
He starts to hear disembodied voices claiming to be Aiwas, the messenger of Horus. He transcribed everything over 3 days, and this would become his first real book, the Book of the Law. Okay. And this would serve as like the seminal piece of work for what would become his religion, Thelema. And Thelema is what Jack Parsons would later join in the American branch. In Los Angeles.
Right.
And
do what thou wilt.
Be the whole of let do what thou wilt be the whole of the law. Right.
Yeah.
He's like Adam Smith, like of Mormonism. You know?
Yeah.
He's just like, I wrote it down. Everybody, here it is.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Where in a pyramid.
Yeah. It's not a good law, by the way. Do what thou wilt.
So wilt does not mean want. What it means is whatever you can will into being, right? So it's still shitty, but it is not just do whatever you want, although a lot of people take it to be
Go for it. Try it out.
But it is all about whatever your willpower can manifest.
Right. I think that's actually what kind of shakes me the most about the guy, is that the ethics are absent.
Right.
In the law. It's a law of no laws, and it's scary. I mean, it really is to me like, like it represents chaos.
Yeah, it is. It is almost nihilistic.
Right.
But
try it out.
He did seem. What is it? Try it out.
Try it out.
Try it out. Be the whole of the law. well, can I do this? Try it out.
Try it out.
But was it like? I guess my dad has a phrase like, if you're gonna do a job, do the whole job. Right. Was it kind of like, do it if you can finish it? Was that kind of like, if you can make it happen, do it. Don't half-ass it.
Yeah, well, so that's another thing I was going to say about some of these guys, too, when I was saying, like, I don't understand why you would go down this road, but I think if your father's a preacher and stuff like that, there's a thing, first of all, about the forbidden, and especially if you feel like you're, like, an able, smart person, you're like, why do we know that there is this power that we don't ever talk about or deal with, and maybe we should try to summon it for that reason? That's the only explanation I can really think of, is like, why are we taking some things off the table and not trying it out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And maybe it's not as bad as we think, or we owe it to ourselves to find out, or like maybe all these people say it's bad, but it's not bad, and like...
Right, so he had this theory that everything changes, but nothing ever changes. It's all the same patterns and patterns. You know, a chess game can be played a trillion different ways, but it's still subject to the same rules, and it's the same pieces, and the board never changes. And his thing was the only way that you can really affect any change is by subverting these rules. Right. So that's why he did a lot of these kind of like transgressive acts, it seems, other than whatever his underlying psychology was, and being a straight up high functioning pervert like me. But it was an effort to like undermine the status quo of the universe, is kind of what I got from some of the reading. I mean, a lot of his philosophical writing is exceptional. It's weird, but it is well written and thought out. But he is a maniac. So, Do What Thou Wilt would be the whole of the law. The book proclaimed that humanity was entering a new aeon, and that guess who would serve as its prophet? Him.
No shit.
Yeah. So this book, like I said, became the cornerstone of Thelema. But at the time, he resented the book because like he wrote it in this 3-day trance, but he didn't even know what to do with it. He hid it away for years. He ignored certain things the voice told him to do, like removing the steel from the museum. He left it there. The voice told him to fortify his own island and to translate the book into every language on the planet. And he never did all of that because he just like, he felt like it was too heavy of a burden and stuff. He didn't really understand it fully. Yeah. 1905, he returns to the Boleskine house, and he feels like his old pal Mathers, the guy who used to run the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, felt like he was using magic against him. So he gets a little paranoid. Rose gives birth to their first child, Lilith, and to entertain his recovering wife, guess what he does?
Writes poetry.
Yeah, pornographic poetry.
Hell yeah.
Snowdrops from a Kurate's garden. Probably more nut illusions.
Yeah.
He decides to climb the mountain Kangchunga in the Himalayas in Nepal. Nepal.
It's not Chinese.
Which is the world's most treacherous mountain.
No shit.
Yeah. He brings a group of badass mountaineers, and the whole time, Crowley's being a real reckless asshole. They mutiny against him and decide to climb down the mountain because it's too dangerous. Even though Crowley says it's too dangerous to go down right now, he warns against it, and he sips tea as many of them die in a quote-unquote accident.
Jesus.
Yeah. He did some big game hunting, wrote some homoerotic poetry, The Scented Garden, met up with his wife and daughter in Calcutta, where he shot a man dead in the street.
Jesus Christ.
Claiming self-defense. He was forced to leave, so he moves to southern China, which they think was another spy mission to monitor their opium trade.
Interesting.
Also, smoking a lot of opium at the time.
It's a good way to monitor.
Yeah. How am I? You got to have your finger on the pulse of this stuff, boys.
Yeah.
He leaves his wife and daughter to do some rituals to recontact the deity Aiwas. He does that in Shanghai. Then his daughter dies of typhoid, which he blames on his wife and her increasing alcoholism. Again, he has this depression and gets sick, a lot of health problems, surgeries, affairs with actress Lola Neville, and author Ada, I couldn't pronounce her name. While his wife gives birth to their second daughter, guess what they name her? Lola.
Wow.
Lola Zaza. 1907, does some more magic rituals and bullshit, considers it a turning point in his life, I guess. He starts using lots and lots of hash and wrote an essay on it, on the benefits of it, and as a important sacrament in one's spirituality.
Got to try it out.
He dictates a couple more books from Aiwas, and they become later more holy books of the Thelema religion. By 1909, his inheritance is running out. So this is this is only like 10 years, 15 years after he gets the inheritance that it's starting to run out.
Yeah, well, he's been all over the fucking world.
Yeah. Buying a lot of drugs, too.
Right.
So then he's hired by the Earl of Tankerville to protect him from witchcraft. But then he's not a total scumbag because he realized that this guy's paranoia is because of his cocaine addiction. So he takes the Earl to France and Morocco to recuperate, but he's still hurting for money, so he starts taking and paying students, right? So this is kind of the beginning of that whole like L. Ron Hubbard like start a religion for money type of thing.
But he didn't exploit this other guy.
No, he got him sober.
He was like, "You're chopped up.
Yeah, let me take that from you."
Right.
This is coke.
Yeah.
I better do it all so you don't.
Yeah.
He takes in this guy, Victor Newberg, who becomes his sexual partner and closest disciple, young man. They go to the Boleskine house and engage in some S&M type of activities. More poetry. I'll skip over that. In an attempt at an autobiography, Then he tries to like cash in on the popularity of like the recent short story horror genre, and writes a couple of those which were actually well received, and actually published. He started publishing articles in Vanity Fair because he was friends with the editor. He tries to create, so this is where he starts beginning his religious stuff, or heading his own religion. He wants to create an occult order to act as successor to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and creates AA. It's written down A, the predator target, A, the predator target, like 3 dots. And I don't know, nobody really knows how to pronounce it, but it's called AA. He's fed up with his wife, and he divorces her on the grounds of his adultery.
Wow. I'm fucking other people.
Hey, you can't be married to a guy like me. They stay friends, and she lives at the Bolskin house, raising the daughter. Sure, her alcoholism gets worse and worse, and eventually she's institutionalized in 1911. Crowley and his boy Toy Nuremberg started traveling through the desert in Algeria, reciting the Quran daily, performing sex magic on the top of a mountain.
Jesus Christ.
Trying to invoke demons, blood sacrifice, the whole 9.
Yeah.
His old pal Mathers sues him for copying the Golden Dawn, but the courts favor Crowley, and I think he gets a little bit of money out of this, but he gets more notoriety out of it more than anything else because it's a public case, and he's like, oh, this is dope. This infamy, this notoriety thing. So he plays up this notion that he's wicked and a Satanist and into human sacrifice, even though he's into none of that, right? But he plays it up because it's good press. Very, very Trumpy. He used the notoriety to do like a public or at least open ceremony for the AA church. We had a bunch of people in the press come. He gave them a peyote punch.
Wow.
And it was received largely positively.
Yeah.
Then he meets his first Scarlet Woman, which you'll remember from Jack Parsons.
Yes.
He meets a Scarlet Woman, which is kind of like
that he was summoning.
Yeah.
With sex magic.
Exactly, who would represent basically like a manifestation of power and sex and a partner, a kind of cosmic.
And you got to jerk off onto a candle to get it or something.
Yeah. You got to jerk off onto some tablets, dude.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's science.
But then a lady shows
up. This is magic, yeah.
Yeah.
He believes in other
deity.
blood, red blood, and bits of sick. He believed this another deity was speaking through her, which is a common trope in his life. This would become another book. He coins the term magic with a K to distinguish it from stage illusion. So
sure.
He is the guy that coined that term.
No shit.
Yep. He writes the Book of Lies, which is another book that's circulated throughout Thelema. He gets sued again by another guy, Theodore Russ, who accuses him of publishing the secrets of the OTO, which is the Ordo Templi Orientis, which is he basically it's very similar to Thelema.
Okay.
But Crowley convinces him that, hey, it's just coincidence, man. You know this magic stuff. It's all the same.
Right.
They become friends. So then this guy gets him to head the British OTO. He's like, you know what? You're not such a bad guy. You head the British order. He takes the name of Baphomet, Supreme Rex and Sovereign Grand Master General of Ireland, Iona, and all the Britons.
Wow.
He was particularly interested in the OTO's use of sex magic and devised a whole ritual based around anal sex exclusively, and incorporated it into the curriculum for 11th degree initiates.
That seems convenient.
Yeah. Let do what thou wilt be the whole of the Lua.
Yeah.
He acted as a producer for the Ragged Ragtime Girls, a group of female violinists led by his paramour at the time. They perform in London and then in Moscow, where he had an S&M affair with some Hungarian lady, Annie.
As you do.
In Moscow, he wrote the Hymn to Pan and the Gnostic Mass, which were later used by Jack Parsons in the United States. And this is another example of they think he was in Moscow spying on revolutionary elements.
God, what the fuck kind of whack job spy would this be?
I mean, how do you have so much time to spy when you're jerking off, you're nutting, you're whipping these Hungarian ladies?
Yeah, but I mean, also, could it be that there was that much autonomy for British spies at that time?
I'm sure. If
Why,
you're a spy,
why not?
you do whatever you want.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, if you're the English, you say, well, this guy's got a bunch of money,
right?
So we don't have to pay him that much.
No moral compass,
right? And also, if you're a public figure, it's like they never guess. Like the guy with the fucking game show, who was like a CIA guy or whatever. Like it's like nobody ever would believe you're fucking Secret Service.
Right?
Whatever.
There go. Oh, what, the crazy guy? No, we would never have him.
Yeah,
he's crazy.
The guy nutting on tablets.
Yeah, he's not a spy.
Yeah, he's not with MI6.
Yeah, but he has a knack for infiltrating societies and groups and getting people to divulge information.
Yeah.
1914, Crowley and Newberg settle in Paris and perform the 6-week ritual Paris Working, which was comprised of ritualistic, intense drug use and sex, trying to invoke the deities of Mercury and Jupiter. Kind of freaks out Newberg, and he distances himself from Crowley, and they have an argument and he leaves, and Crowley curses him, which I'm sure was very scary. To have Crowley curse you after butt fucking you or whatever.
Yeah.
It's probably coming while he did it.
Jesus Christ.
But by now he's broke and living on donations from members. Mm-hmm. He transfers ownership of the Boleskine house to some group so he can get a little bit of cash. Then he goes mountain climbing in the Swiss Alps, and World War I breaks out. He gets sick again and sails for the U.S. on what? The RMS Lusitania.
No shit.
So the RMS Lusitania, not a few months after, gets torpedoed by a German U-boat and then has an internal unexplained explosion that sinks it in 18 minutes, and that's what gets the U.S. into World War I. So there's more intrigue, right?
In a spy level.
Right.
Yeah.
So he moves into a hotel in New York. He writes more for Vanity Fair, does some freelance work for a famous astrologer named Evangeline Adams, and then it gets more into the very much like Parsons. He's broke. And he's desperate, and so he's using a lot of drugs. He's doing sex magic by jerking off a lot and having sex with prostitutes and male clients of local Turkish bathhouses.
So he's prostituting himself as well.
I guess. But he was hiring prostitutes. I mean, even when you're broke and you're rich, you find money to pay for hookers,
Yeah. It's like Alekhine staying a drunk. Like, he's famous.
Yeah, you get free shit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read something here because it's a little bit meandering, but during this time in the United States, he professes to be of Irish ancestry and a supporter of Irish independence from Great Britain. So Crowley begins to espouse support for Germany in their war against Britain as World War I breaks out.
Right.
He became involved in New York's pro-German movement, and in January 1915, German spy George Sylvester Viereck, employed him as a writer for the propagandist paper, The Fatherland, which was dedicated to keeping the U.S. neutral in the conflict.
Yeah.
Right. In later years, detractors denounced Crowley as a traitor to Britain for this action, but in reality, Crowley was a double agent working for British intelligence services to infiltrate and undermine Germany's operation in New York.
Wow.
Many of the articles in The Fatherland were hyperbolic, for instance, comparing Kaiser Wilhelm II to Jesus Christ. In July 1915, he orchestrated a publicity stunt reported on by the New York Times in which he declared independence for Ireland in front of the Statue of Liberty.
Wow.
The real intention was to make the German lobby appear ridiculous in the eyes of the American public. It had been argued that he encouraged the German Navy to destroy the Lusitania, informing him that it would ensure the U.S. stayed out of the war, when in reality, hoping that it would bring the U.S. into the war on Britain's side, which it did.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, because the rumor is that the Lusitania blew up because it had American weapons that they were shipping to Britain. And so he says, hey,
shoot at this thing.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so then he visits Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Tijuana, and the Grand Canyon. He befriends Ananda Kumaraswamy, who, if you're into that stuff, is pretty famous. And his wife, Alice Richardson. They performed sex magic in the desert. She got pregnant and miscarried. He took a magical retirement at Evangeline Adams' cabin in the woods, did a lot of drugs, and proclaimed himself Master Therion, whatever that is.
Sure.
He moved to New Orleans, which is his favorite U.S. city, unsurprisingly, and then Florida. Shocker.
Wow.
And he stayed with relatives who were evangelical Christians.
Sure.
Took him in, and apparently they all got along.
I mean, if you know that shit, you know that shit.
You can spit it out. I mean,
plus also, you're still somewhat into it. He loved his dad.
Yeah.
His dad was an evangelical. And, you know the lingo, to talk about it. You can go over this fucking passage.
Yeah.
And it would be like this.
I'm sure there was not a dull
If you know
moment.
the book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It'd be like going to stay with, fucking, like Beatles fans or whatever. You'd be like, oh, I can talk about I know all this shit.
Yeah.
I can talk about all of it and spend time there and it's fine.
Yeah, he very clearly was a guy who could hang out in any crowd.
Yeah. And it's also just, it is like I said, part of that thing of like, it's like the Nostradamus thing, he was raised with Judaism and Christianity back to back. But then he was also like, what else you got? Mm-hmm. Like, I wanted, give it all to me.
Yeah.
Give it all to me. And then I find a bunch of extra shit, know?
Goes back to New York, moves in with his next Scarlet Woman, Roddy Minor. Through their rituals, he says he's contacted by an entity named Lamb, and their relationship ends soonly thereafter. Wow. Back in London, he's labeled scum by some tabloids for his association with the German war effort, even though he was doing this kind of psyop thing. He's broke, suffering from asthma, and his doctor prescribes him heroin, and he is soon addicted. This is where he gets really into the heroin. So because before that, it was like laudanum and opium and all that shit. But now heroin's new and around. He's addicted to it. He moves to Paris in 1920, and he's living in a three-way relationship with a couple of ladies. And he gets the idea to start a commune. He consults the I Ching and decides on Sicily as a place to start it. The I Ching is ancient Chinese divination type of shit.
So he spun a globe.
Yeah, pretty much. Put his finger on some tea leaves or whatever.
Yeah.
And he rented out a villa, and that would be the Abbey of Thelema. So he's living in a commune with this lady, last name Herzig, and I forget the other lady's name, but they're all living together, fucking each other. And all the kids are there too. He's wearing robes.
Hell yeah. Oh, fucking robe?
Yeah, he was in a robe. He's in heaven here. He's in Sicily, living with a couple of ladies, little scamps running around, not a lot of rules. He's wearing robes, which are for Frenchmen and homosexuals. And performing rituals to the sun god Ra during the day. And he lets the kids have like this libertine education. So they run around all day. He even lets them watch the sex magic rituals.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. And so then he also takes day trips to Palermo to cop drugs, visit rent boys, and buy supplies.
As you do.
Yeah.
The fucking doctor prescribing. I got this thing.
Heroin. Well, that's what it was.
Heroin.
If you that's what it was for coughs and tuberculosis. And all
dude,
that.
it was meant to get all those WW1 guys off morphine.
Yeah.
It was made for that.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
All these drugs were meant to get rid of the other addiction. Cocaine too was meant to get you off that, and you just end up getting addicted to cocaine. Yeah. Well, it's like methadone now, or oxy now.
Yeah,
right?
but methadone is finally the one where it kind of got what the results they wanted, where it's all right, this is a dull, shitty version of that good smack high.
Yeah. So heroin's dominating his life at this point, and then cocaine begins to dominate it. His nasal cavity's fucking falling apart.
Ugh.
Yeah, he looks like shit. Wild cats and dogs roam the property because nobody does any groundskeeping because they're all busy fucking and letting the kids watch. So there's dog piss and shit everywhere. It's really unsanitary. The film star Jane Wolfe comes as a disciple. She moves in 1920, and she's initiated and becomes his secretary. Mm-hmm. This guy Raoul Loveday moves in, and he's devoted to Crowley. His wife, not so much, and she's not pleased with it, but she's there. Crowley makes him drink the blood of a sacrificed cat and requires them to cut themselves with razors anytime they use the pronoun I. You gotta get rid of the ego, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God. Raoul drinks from a polluted stream and gets an infection and dies.
Jesus Christ.
It's crazy. Raoul. So this is 1920, and this is kind of when, I think this is when he gets really, there's that whole what else you got thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think this is where he really gets into even more of his perversion stuff. And I just want to read a poem that he wrote in Italy in 1920. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In just content warning. Okay?
Okay.
Monday, June 21st, 1920, 5:25 p.m. to 5:15 a.m. Against all principles and in breach of two promises, I have sat up all night in the snows writing a poem to Leah. One long poem, an occasional publishable line thrown in when I weakened. 7 a.m., I think I'll collect all my filth in one poem and mark it Leah in plain figures. 10 a.m., I think I did. Leah sublime, goddess above me, snake of the slime, Aleister, love me, our master, the devil, prospers the revel. Tread with your foot, my heart till it hurt, tread on it, put the smear of your dirt on my love, on my shame, scribble your name, straddle your beast, my masterful bitch, with the thighs of you greased with the sweat of your itch, spit on me, Scarlet, mouth of my harlot. Now from your wide raw cunt the abyss sends spouting the tide of your sizzling piss. In my mouth, oh my whore, let it pour, let it pour.
Beat me, piss on me.
Try it out.
Try it out.
You stale like a mare and fart as you stale.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Those scraggled wet hair you spout like a whale. Splash the manure and piss from the sewer. Down to me quick with your tooth on my lip and your hand on my prick with feverish grip, my life as it drinks. How your breath stinks. Your hand, oh unclean, your hand that has wasted your love in obscene black masses that tasted. Your soul, it's your hand. Feel my prick stand. Your lifetimes from lewd little girl to mature, worn whore that has chewed your own pile of manure. Your hand was the key, and now you're frig me, too.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Rub all the much of your cunt on me, Leah. Cunt, let me suck all your glued gonorrhea.
Oh!
Cunt without end! Amen, till you spend! Cunt! You have harbored all dirt and disease in your slimy, unbarbered loose hole with its cheese and its monthlies and pox, you chewer of cock.
Jeez! Jeez!
I need a full-time serviceman! Cunt, you have sucked up pricks, you squirted out fetuses, fucked till bastards you blurted out into space. Spend on my face!
Oh my God.
Rub all your gleet away, envenom the arrow, may your pox eat away me to the marrow. Cunt, you have got me, I love you to rot me. Spend again, lash me. Leah, one spasm, scream to splash me. Slime of the chasm, choke me with sploof of your sow belly's filth. Stab your demonic smile to my brain, soak me in cognac, cunt, and cocaine.
Oh my...
Wow.
That is next level rhyme.
Yeah.
Sprawl on me, sit on my mouth, Leah, shit. Shit on me, slut. Creamy the curds that drip from your gut. Greasy the turds, dribble your dung on the tip of my tongue. Churn on me, Leah, twist on your thighs, smear diarrhea into my eyes, splutter out shit from the bottomless pit. Turn to me, chew it, with me, Leah, whore, vomit, spew it, and lick it once more. We can make lust drunk on disgust. There's more.
Good God.
Splay on your gut, your asshole, my lover, you buggering slut. I know where to shove her. There she goes, plumb up the foul bitch's bum. Sack full of skin and bone as I speak, I'll bugger your grin into a shriek. Bugger you, slut, bugger your gut. Wriggle, you hog.
Oh,
wrench at the pin. Wrench at it. Drag. In, out. Suck it in. Scream, you hog. Dirt, you. I want it to hurt you. Beast, lioness, squirt from your cocksucker's hole.
Has all of the poetry before been like this?
Belch out the dirt from your syphilis soul. Sputter foul words through your supper of turds.
Slop on my nut.
Yes! May the devil, our Lord, your soul scribble over with sayings of ordure. Call me your lover, slave of the gut of the arse of a slut. Call me your sewer of spilth and snot, your fart sniffer chewer of the shit in your slot. Call me that as you rave in the rape of your slave. Fuck! Shit! Let me come, Astral! Fuck! I've spent in your bum.
Oh, for
shit! Give me the muck from my whore's arse. Slick dirt of my prick. Eat it, you sow. I'm your dog. Fuck shit. Swallow it now.
Fuck shit.
Rest for a bit. Satan, you gave a crown to a slave. I am your fate. On your belly above you, I swear it by Satan. Leah, I love you.
Whoa.
I'm going insane. Do it again.
Jesus Christ.
That is the most insane thing I've read.
Yeah.
Today.
Wait,
yeah.
Are you saying that missionary is not cutting it anymore?
It's not cutting it for this guy. It's what else you got.
Okay. Yeah.
There are whole essays on Aleister Crowley and coprophagy, which is the limits of transgression is the name of the essay.
Could you imagine him doing it on Sway?
Dude, dropping the 5 fingers of death on
fingers of death on Sway.
Oh, hey, audience, hold us to that. We're going to shoot that.
Yeah.
We're going to shoot Aleister Crowley on Sway, dropping the fucking 5 fingers of death. Oh, shit!
Crowley!
Get him! So anyways, a lot of that.
Yeah, a whole lot of that.
So this is how nasty and fucked up this dude is. Mussolini gets wind of this and he's like, get out.
I got a fascist state to run here.
I can't have all this shit-eating commune living.
Yeah.
Dogs and cats.
Trains aren't going to get there on time with all this shit eating.
Dude, so Benito Mussolini deports him. He moves to Tunisia where he tries to kick heroin but can't. He can't kick heroin. Employs a local boy, Mohammed, as his servant, and they go into the mountains and fuck. They go sex magic time. He travels to Nice where he gets some nasal surgeries done because on account of all the coke.
Oh, nice.
And fart sniffing, apparently. He gets another follower, Dorothy Olson, pregnant. She miscarries. Again, a lot of miscarriages. I guess it's hard carrying the seed of the wickedest man in the world.
Yeah, or he's...
Yeah, I think after you get one of these poems, you probably your body gives up.
Yeah.
You just hear the...
He takes many lovers over the next few years, performing magics with them, still addicted to heroin and cocaine. He moves to Berlin and then Portugal, where he meets poet Fernando Pessoa, who helps him fake his own death. Oh, cool. So Crowley fakes his death at the Boca del Inferno rock formation, which means mouth of hell, hell's mouth.
Sure.
Only to return to Berlin to unveil his newest art exhibition at a museum, which actually was pretty well received.
I would assume that'd be a spy play.
I don't see anything about the faking the death. I think at this point he's becoming more of like the charlatan type of guy. He's getting
just
older.
Creating a myth too.
Yeah, he's in his 50s. I think he's almost in his 50s at this point, and really not doing so hot.
Plus, it's cool to see him resurrected.
Yeah. For a guy like him,
especially if you're launching a show.
Very on brand.
From when I was dead.
Yeah.
I got a show.
You come back from the death to open your show. That's a pretty good open.
Then he had this violent relationship with this woman named Bertha Bush, and they often assaulted each other, all while having affairs with men and women in Berlin. He met with Aldous Huxley and Alfred Adler, who was a famous proto-psychotherapist type of guy. Mm-hmm. He took in communist Gerald Hamilton as a lodger into where he was living, and was introduced to many high-profile figures in the Berlin far-left movement, British intelligence operation. He must have taken a break from all the chop.
Yeah.
He moves back to London, takes in a Pearl Brooksmith as his new Scarlet Woman. In 1935, he goes bankrupt, and it's revealed that he was spending 3 times his income. He develops a platonic relationship with woman Deirdre Patricia O'Doherty, and
Irish girl.
Yeah, good Irish girl.
Deirdre, come over here and have a loaf of shit.
Fart in my face.
Go on and chow it down, girl. Now.
Oh shit! Fuck!
It's piping hot. You dumb bitch.
Oh, I love ya. They're strictly a platonic relationship, but she offers to bear his child, and in 1937 she does.
Good God.
That doesn't sound that
I don't want that at all for Deirdre.
Hey, we've got a great thing going on here. Just being old chums, chopping it up. Can I carry your seed?
Yeah. You're not after farting, Deirdre, are you? That smells good.
Shut out one of them fetuses again.
I don't think it's a coincidence that she was more platonic than other ones and didn't miscarry.
I think it's not a coincidence that she's Irish and got pregnant.
I think it's amazing that she came out of Catholic to the tits, Ireland, and was like, you're the devil, are you? Sounds good.
Prove it.
Yeah.
So he seems to slow down at this point. He continues to socialize, even holding curry parties for his friends.
Nice.
He liked making very, very spicy curry.
Ooh, you bet.
Probably because it makes you shit.
I'm the devil.
Ooh, spicy.
Curry's spicy.
He's kind of wicked, but his curry is so good. Lectures on yoga in Soho, living pretty much solely off of contributions from the OTO Agape Lodge in Los Angeles, headed by Jack Parsons.
Very nice, Aaron.
Thank you. He's intrigued by the rise of Nazism in Germany.
You bet.
And then, Hitler was super into the occult, right?
Of course, yeah.
And this charismatic figure and riling up a whole nation on the back of this symbol. He was very much into symbols. In fact, later you'll see Crowley took credit for the V for Victory sign.
No shit.
Yeah. But when Germany kicked out the OTO out of Germany during the rise of the Third Reich, they did kick out anything competitive. He took offense to that, and then he labeled Hitler a black-ass magician.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah. He said, dude, this Hitler guy, watch out for him.
He didn't say black ass, did he?
No, he said black magician.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I say that in my stand-up, so I was like, oh.
But me? That's a black-ass magician.
It's black-ass magic.
World War II breaks out. He offers his services to naval intelligence. They decline the drug addict, sex pervert.
We're good.
But he still associates with people in this.
Right, he's got some elite status still.
He associates with Ian Fleming, who was a spy and eventually created 007, James Bond, and Roald Dahl, who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
So all kinds of...
I think it's a shit joke.
Yeah.
He claims to have been behind the V for Victory sign, which I mentioned. He was very big into sigils and stuff like that. A lot of his, Thelema has its own sigil, which is very weird looking. Mm-hmm. In 1940, his asthma worsens, and because Germany is embargoed, he cannot get his German medication. So he gets back onto heroin.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Because there's nothing available.
Well, sure, you gotta have smack if you can't breathe. What the fuck kind of logic is that?
Well, dude, it's 1940. They don't have albuterol.
Yeah.
Or Singulair, or whatever you weak immune system people have.
Right. Well, I don't know, but I'm just saying it doesn't seem like a solution to asthma. It's like, I can't breathe.
Well, that's what it was. I mean, Sears used to sell heroin in their mail order catalog.
Good God.
We'll put those up online too, I guess.
Yeah.
1940.
All the links.
Yeah, the links to the mail Prime.
Dark web.
In 1947, he dies of bronchitis, pleurisy, and myocardial degeneration.
All the shit.
Yeah, broke, looking like shit. But wait, there is more.
Comes back.
So, there was a woman that was around Aleister in his 20s. Late 20s. Pauline Pierce was friends with Aleister, and apparently they were in France together in around 1924. I think she maybe worked as secretary again, very briefly. But she, when she left Paris and returned to America and shacked up with her boyfriend, Pauline gave birth to one Barbara Pierce. Barbara Pierce later becomes Barbara Bush.
Shut the fuck up. No relation to Bertha Bush.
No, different Bush. That Bertha Bush is Bush like Anheuser-Busch. B-U-S-C-H.
Oh, no shit.
But Pauline and Barbara Pierce marries George Herbert Walker Bush, who is the head of the CIA, becomes head of the CIA and later President of the United States. So Barbara Bush could be the illegitimate child of Aleister Crowley.
Good God.
The seed is strong.
Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So, George W. Bush
is the grandson
of Aleister.
Notorious cocaine maniac.
Yeah.
Pervert.
Yeah.
Aleister Crowley.
And that's the thing they say about George W. is that he's really Barbara's son. That Jeb is George Jr. And Barbara would say it to him. She'd be like, "You're more like me. Like you're more like emotional and like kind of like
you got all these poems about shit."
Yeah, because like
he's an artist.
His
paintings.
George W. Bush versus George H.W. Bush couldn't be more different.
Oh, they are
like personality wise.
Yeah,
and so that was like. In the Oliver Stone movie, they actually show that Barbara says that to him during a fight. She's like, "You're more like me." Yeah.
I mean, if you look at pictures of Barbara and Aleister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want to see him?
Yeah, I want to fucking see him.
Dude, fuck you. I'll show him to you, and you can take a look. Oh God, she is a sight to behold. I'll tell you that.
Hot.
Whew, yikes! Here, take a look.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, there's a whole page of them, but
sure,
we'll throw up some of the more
God,
convincing.
he really does look fucked up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
How old was he?
What did he die in? 1947. He was born in 1875.
So not a bad life for a man with so many fucking issues
and STDs and drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. The will. Power of the will.
Yeah.
Now, did he leave anything to anyone?
No, he's broke.
Oh.
He was broke. The orders survived. Mm-hmm. The OTO and Thelema survived. Yeah. They're still. You can go to a Gnostic mass in Los Feliz.
Really?
Yeah, they're open. It's the later chapters where it's more exclusive, but they are. You can still go.
Yeah.
And do the whole thing.
Yeah.
But after doing the research, he's no longer so wicked, it seems.
Oh, yeah.
Especially seeing how accomplished he was as like a chess player, a poet, author, and mountaineer. He's a fucking mountain climber.
It's demystified a bit until that poem.
Yeah, the poem is very on brand for what I thought he was.
Yeah.
Shit, piss on me, beat me, try it out.
Right, yeah.
He's looking for hardcore guys and gals.
He is. He really is.
But it's like we were talking about earlier, how, he was trying to break the boundaries of things. And with poetry, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
If it's all on the page. If you want to take it off the page, maybe that's how you break.
Yeah.
Because like a painting is still a painting no matter what you paint if it's on a canvas. But if you paint it on a wall, maybe it's something else. Or,
yeah.
I think
you think Bukowski read those and he's like, I got to tone these down.
Too much Crowley.
Yeah.
But I think like that poem was him being like, how do I break poetry? How do I break poetry?
Set the poetry world on fire.
Oh, he's talking about shit?
Cool.
Yeah.
I think he also, I think it was like a what else you got type of thing. Mm-hmm. I think after a certain point, like you said, missionary doesn't cut it for you. Especially after you're chopped to the fucking gills. Like you need something else just to get your...
Well, plus you've been a spoiled rich brat your whole life and you've probably been trying it out your whole life.
He had been, and he really liked like rough... he got into the S&M stuff, and he described basically the act of passive anal sex as like one of the life's great pleasures.
Passive anal sex?
Receptive.
Ah, got it.
Getting plowed, bro.
Right.
He talked about it like, there are only two pleasures that a man can give to another man that a woman cannot give to him, and he wrote about how awesome it was. He really thought it was the cat's meow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Try it out.
He wants to get fucked and fucked good. He's looking for hardcore guys. It could be a lease and a key, which he did to many guys. Beat on him, piss on him, try it out.
Can you imagine being the lady getting that poem and living in the Loch Ness house and being like, holy shit, I live with this guy? Or what? You know what I mean? Like,
I think he was pretty good at sussing out women that were into it.
Yeah.
I can't believe you got an Irish girl in that day and age.
Yeah.
Deirdre Doherty?
Uh-huh.
Good God.
God bless her.
Jesus.
But she was traveling though, like, so she was out. She was on her way out,
Right, yeah.
You're going to get a certain type of Irish woman out in Bangkok or wherever he is.
Yeah.
Pretty intense dude, man. I mean, I didn't really even delve into some of the deeper nasty shit, but he was fucking wild.
Yeah.
Heavy drug use. He did talk about, one of the rituals was just basically reaching a point of sexual exhaustion, like to where you were just so nutted out that you were like
I was gonna say nutted out.
Yeah. They didn't have max load at the time. His balls run dry. He's nutted out like in a state of waking sleep, like delirium, like the stuff you see on some of like the fake hardcore sites,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's bumbling. Oh, that kind of stuff.
He's got a bangover. He's like, I'm never fucking again. I'm not doing that again.
But he did.
He did.
A lot of these cult guys, they present themselves as like artists. Like the cult is like almost a side project because they're genius in another field. And so look at this art, and now follow me into my cavern,
right?
Where I will then lead your life because I'm such a good artist. I know all about all these other things.
Yeah, and I think it's also the cult of personality where it's like, I don't know what it is yet, but I know I've got it.
Yeah.
And so come along and wait and see and just watch the reality show until I get there.
Right. He never really got to the level of like your Jim Jones or L. Ron.
Sure.
Like he didn't get to that level of cult leader, but he was the grandfather of those guys who later, Father Yod is another one that I'm thinking about doing kind of here in LA in the 70s. He never.
Father Yod?
Father Yod, dude.
Don't know.
Oh man, you're going to love this guy.
I am going to love him. His name's Father Yod?
Yeah. Yep.
Try it out.
Yeah, you'll try this one.
I'm going to try it out.
But yeah, he kind of set the stage for that, but he never really, the closest he ever got was doing the teaching and heading certain branches and kind of running his stuff remotely, the Church of Thelema, and maybe the commune in Sicily, which was just, a handful of people, but never operating, being a true cult leader, but definitely had the cult of personality behind him.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, too, is like once you have the cult going and you still don't know what you are, now you have this huge burden of responsibility.
Yeah, shit, better figure it out.
Okay, well, they gotta do something, and they're here for me.
Drink this cat blood.
Yeah.
Piss on me.
Right. So, it's...
Happy?
it's kind of another stumbling block in a way to getting to where...
If you're going to start a cult, you got to have a plan, dude.
You got to have it pretty written out, or you got to figure it out pretty fast, which I think Elrond did, and Jim Jones did. You know, he kind of saw how big it could go.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I mean, Jim Jones made friends with politicians.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a public figure. You know, they'd have his people working at like soup kitchens and stuff. He was very, very above board for a long time.
Oh yeah, and it was great example at the time of great unrest of racial harmony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could if you were black, you could join.
No, but I think it was heavy black populated. Yeah. Was the church that he started.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of that came out of the Midwest. Whatever. That's a whole other deal. But that was great, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks.
I was really, really, really good.
The wickedest man in the world, the great beast Baphomet.
Yeah.
Aleister Crowley, no longer the scary, scary figure to haunt your dreams, unless, of course, you read his poetry about piss and shit.
Yes.
Blood. Red blood.
Red blood.
And it was
her blood.
Awfully convenient, it seemed like. Anytime he needed an out.
Oh, I'm sick.
He was able to go to another country. He was able to flee anywhere.
Yeah.
And join in with whatever convenient thing the British were looking into.
Yeah, you'd wonder if he was like, I'm out of money, MI6,
Can I go spy on some people for you? I need some blow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty convincing. It's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, do you know about they're saying they think even George Orwell now?
Yeah, I've heard that too.
British intelligence and
a lot of times
gave up names during the early Red Scare.
No shit.
Yeah. And the Guardian and the Observer newspapers are so in love with George Orwell as a journalist turned activist, turned revolutionary, turned foretelling of preserving democracy against communism and fascism and all these things.
Because he saw both of them.
And then when they found out that he was snitching, you could see in the editorials about it, it attacked the soul of the paper.
Yeah.
They felt really bummed out by finding out this shit.
Well, he was scarred. He was scarred heavily from seeing what could happen with socialism, communism, and fascism.
And you know the thing about Room 101, where it's your worst fears in Room 101 in 1984?
Yeah.
It's rats for the main character.
Oh.
And it's because rats were running over his legs in the trenches when he was fighting in the Spanish Civil War.
And then he became a rat.
So and then he becomes a fucking rat. Yeah.
So he's scared of both the physical and the metaphorical.
It's crazy. That was a great episode, Aaron.
Hey, well, I'm glad you guys were here to chime in and hear about all this nasty shit.
One final question. Whose dick is this?
Well, you big dick motherfucker, lift up your leg and you'll find out.
What's my name? Whose dick is this? Try it out!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. We love you.